Dear listeners, thank you for your incredible support in helping our channel grow. We're aiming for 1,000 subscribers, so please support us by subscribing and helping us reach this milestone. Now let's start the story. Flashback, Ben, back at the BTR-80. When I tried to lie to Elena about how I felt. I wonder why it didn't work? She confronted me about lying, and I was forced to begin with the truth. Since you've convinced me to be truthful with you, I must admit I feel like shit, and not just mentally, but also physically. Elena's face wrinkled with concern as she queried, Ben, what do you mean? I shook my head and replied, if I'm not mistaken, I have a couple broken ribs in addition to my previous injuries. Then I pointed to the offending ribs as best I could while I grimaced in pain. She swore teeth. Ben, how did that happen? She then became the professional nurse and assessed my rib injuries. I began to explain when. Flashback, Jack, in the room with the many dead Chechens. Hell's bells, and I thought Major Mike was a pain in the butt. This captain made him look like a saint. Of course he was pissed about losing the BTR-80, but he sure as hell didn't need to take it out on everyone else. Hell, it was his damn fault for not stopping them from firing at us. Oh yeah, I forgot that he's an officer, and I guess even in Russia they primarily train officers to pass the buck. We went into the side room the Chechens had breached, where Ben got lucky when he blew all the Chechens back to whichever hell they came from, and the captain barked an order in Russian. I stood there and felt like an idiot for not understanding Russian, until Yuri translated. Jackie ordered us to collect some pieces of the material like Ben found under the wheels of the BTR-80. I was in a serious bad mood and grumbled under my breath. Then why didn't he order it in English, the moron? Unfortunately, the captain must have heard me because he got in my face and began a long tirade in Russian. Even though I couldn't understand it, I wasn't so stupid that I couldn't understand I was being dressed down, which was interrupted when we heard small arms fire. Yuri interrupted the crabby captain. Isn't that shooting coming from where we left Ben? I ignored the captain's callousness and affirmed, hell yes it is. I pushed the captain the hell out of the way as we dashed back to the church sanctuary. Then we heard something which surprised us. Flashback, Ben, back at the BTR-80. Thank God, an excellent training, that I didn't let anyone take my rifle from me, because the Chechens were back again taking potshots at me from behind the church. I was in more danger from a ricochet than by a direct hit, because they were shooting from an ineffectively long range. I ordered, Elena, take cover. I then began to return equally ineffective fire. Then I heard something that was music to my ears. Elena questioned, Ben, what's that noise? I smiled and answered, that Elena is a crocodile that's here to save our butts. She looked puzzled and threw up her hands until I explained. Crocodile is the slang name for an M-24 Hind helicopter. Finally, someone called in the air cav. Elena continued with the incessant reporter questions, something I needed to fix in the near future. Ben, what is the air cav? I smiled as I heard the chopper fire its 12.7mm Gatling gun and explained, air cav is short for air cavalry. It's the rapid deployment of troops and supplies by using helicopters or other vertical takeoff and landing vehicles. The firing stopped, and it became eerily quiet. Unfortunately, the silence didn't last long enough. Flashback, Jack, back at the BTR-80. We arrived at the church sanctuary just as another team of Spetsnaz stormed the church through the big hole in the wall made by the BTR-80. For a moment I worried I was going to be shot. Then one of them ordered, put your weapons on the ground. The captain counterbarked, who the hell are you to command me? It was all I could do to keep from laughing my butt off when a general walked up, pointed an AK at the captain and ordered, Captain, you are relieved of duty. The captain saluted like crazy and tried to explain, sir, I was... The general waved him off, walked over to Ben, knelt down to be on his level, unlike the captain, and questioned, Sergeant Blaine, have you been further wounded? Ben smiled and answered. Flashback, Ben, back at the BTR-80. A general bothered to kneel so he could look me in the eyes. I was impressed and answered his question. Sir, I have a couple of broken ribs on top of my other injuries, but it's really nothing. I motioned to Jack and Yuri, then requested, guys, please help me stand in front of the general. The general waved them off and laughed. Sergeant Blaine, do not worry. You are a hero of Russia, and I apologize that the former captain didn't treat you with the respect you deserve. Your continued presence here poses a problem for this village, so I am here to return you to Moscow. I became bold and questioned, Sir, what about my Spetsnaz team, Jack, my girlfriend, and my nurse? Jack interrupted, and my fiancée? I don't want to leave her. The general replied, Sergeant Blaine, do not worry because we are returning everyone back to Moscow. However, your team will temporarily remain here until their new commander arrives. I clarified, what about the Chechens who are still here? He laughed, do not worry. We will eliminate them as we would any other vermin. Now, we need to get you and your nurse on the helicopter. Jack and Yuri assisted me to the helicopter, and I was glad to finally be leaving this hellhole. But, to the bottom of my soul, I felt my mission wasn't complete because the Chechens were still alive. I was joined on the crocodile by Jack, Masha, and Elena. The general came to the door and questioned, "Sergeant Blaine, where is your girlfriend?" I stammered, Sir, I have no idea." Then Masha started an answer. Flashback, Masha, on the Hind 24. Ben didn't know about Tatiana, and I hesitated to tell him. However, he needed to know at least a portion of the truth, so I informed him. Ben, Tatiana is being treated at the hospital. He gave me a very concerned look and questioned, "Treated for what?" I masked my face with a subtle smile and lied. "I think she was slightly injured trying to stop the BTR-80 from firing at you." Ben swore, "I should kill that son of a bitch, Captain." The general attempted to calm him. "Sergeant Blaine, do not foolishly try your own retribution. We have developed ways of handling situations such as this in Russia." Ben questioned, "Sir, might we stop off at the hospital so we can bring Tatiana back to Moscow with us?" The general affirmed, "Yes, Sergeant. I will instruct the pilot to make a detour to the hospital." The general closed the door, went up to the pilot's door, and talked with him. Then a comment from Elena contributed to the overall level of concern. Flashback, Ben, on the Hind 24. I was concerned for Tatiana. Hell, I didn't know she had been injured, which made me feel even worse. I was angry as hell and wanted to wring the captain's neck, but the general did calm me down. However, if the captain's punishment wasn't severe enough, I would make sure to take care of the issue permanently. No one injured my girlfriend and got away with it. Elena made me feel better when she stated, "Ben, do not worry. When we arrive at the hospital, I will find out what happened to Tatiana." I noticed a peculiar look cross Masha's face and confronted her. "Masha, do you know more about this than you have told me?" Masha gave me what looked to be a practiced smile and stated, "Ben, I have told you all I know." I countered, "Masha, what you just said does not agree with your body language." Then Jack complained. Flashback, Jack, on the Hind 24. I was shocked at how fast the Hind 24 took off. This was certainly not an overloaded American helicopter. I enjoyed the view from the flight, and then Ben said something that pissed me off. I complained, "Ben, what the hell? Don't you dare accuse my fiancée Masha of lying." Ben explained, "Jack, when she smiled, the corners of her eyes did not go up, which is an obvious indicator of deception." His explanation further inflamed me, and I swore, "Ben, when in the hell did you become an expert at spotting lies?" I was ready to throttle him when he sassed. "My skill comes from being lied to all the time by you." To prevent an escalation of the argument, Masha interrupted, "Yes, Ben, you are correct. I do know more than I told you, and I withheld information for your protection." Ben further complained, "What the hell? I'm not some sort of child. You need to tell me all you know." Once she told Ben, everyone understood why she was reluctant at first to fully release the truth. Flashback, Jens, at the military hospital. After I had successfully deflected Katie's, my nurse, questions, she suggested, "Jennifer, perhaps you need to see a psychologist?" After my mother's horrendous actions, the last thing I wanted was to discuss it with anyone, let alone a shrink. I knew that in cases of child abuse, the shrink had to inform the authorities. Just a hint of this kind of scandal would terminate my father's career. I smiled and declared, "Thank you, Katie, but I am doing and feeling much better now. In fact, I think I will practice again." I began to rise from the bed, and then I said something to put Katie on the defensive. I sure wished I had my endpoint shoes. Katie scrambled, "Jennifer, I will put in another call to my shoe company friends and see if they can't come here immediately." She left the room. I went to the door and made sure she was gone. Then I went back to bed, started my computer, and composed an email. Flashback, Glenn, at the military hospital. Interview with the J. After I thought I had put the fear of God into Evelyn, the J walked into the room and politely asked, "Do you mind if I take a seat?" Evelyn slurred, "Hell, weren't you born with one seat already?" Then she began her inane cackle, which reminded me of fingernails on the chalkboard. The JA gave her a dirty look, took a chair, and stated, "Let's not beat around the bush, but instead get right to the point." Evelyn further embarrassed me when she said, "Hell, you can beat my bush anytime you want, honey. Shit, my husband hasn't beat it in months." I felt my face turn multiple shades of red. Then I ordered, "Before we continue with any questioning, I would like our lawyer present." The JA gave me a knowing glance and affirmed, "Yes, sir. I believe that would be very advisable. Do you mind if I visit your daughter?" I knew Jennifer would be logical about things, so I began, "Yes, you have." Evelyn interrupted and slurred, "Hell, that little prima donna bitch. She has been the biggest pain in the butt since she became a prima ballerina, that is until I beat some sense into her. Shit, if you're lucky perhaps you can beat her bush too." I saw red and wanted to slap the shit out of my drunken wife. Unless I was very careful, this was not going to end well. Flashback, Alexei, In the laboratory, I was still elated with my recent success. However, with my parents and the psychologist gone, I recognized a huge problem loomed on the horizon. How best to continue exploiting this ruse? Parroting everyone was one thing, but soon that ploy would become superannuated, and I needed a new strategy. Then my meal arrived, which presented a new opportunity. I began to play with my food in a manner which I knew would infuriate my mother. I perceived that if it infuriated her, then it would likely infuriate others. Therefore, I took my butter knife and attempted to cut myself. This action, of course, had an immediate effect. Flashback, Ira, Mira, and Safia, in Israel. We were not sufficiently prepared when I expertly picked the lock on the former supposed eunuch's door. Our surprise was unprecedented when we oculated what was contained within. Akam expressed immediate alarm. "Oh my, are those naked young girls chained to the beds?" I affirmed, "Yes, Akam, your ocular units perceive correctly." Mira annotated, "Akam, it would appear your supposed eunuchs were monsters." Safia joined and castigated, "Oh my God, they are worse than you are." The girls cowered at our presence, and I interrogated, "Akam, what are your plans for these many abused young girls?" My current anger matched Myra's previous anger as I rested my hand on my katana. If his answer was not satisfactory, he would die. Akam answered, "Well, they must be immediately returned to their families." Safia expounded, "What the hell good will that do? Because of the dishonor heaped upon them by your monsters, they have been permanently despoiled and have no hope of a normal future." Mira added, "She is correct. These young girls will be a pariah to their families." Safia furthered the discourse. "For all we know, their families might have sold them to the supposed eunuchs to begin with." I enjoyed the fact that Safia used the proper terminology for Akam's former eunuchs. There remained hope for her. Then I contributed additional petroleum to the flames. Safia is correct. Returning them to their domiciles might not be a viable option. Akam held his cranial carapace in despair, slumped to the floor, and bemoaned, "What shall we do?" Mira surprised our assembled company when she stated simply, "Flashback, Todd, on the island." I wasn't the hell sure what I was supposed to do with this bow against the helicopters we heard hovering over the island. I needed my damn pistol, and a good rifle wouldn't make me unhappy. As I followed Lou, I was in awe of how quietly and quickly she could move through the jungle. I tried to mimic her, but I realized compared to her, I sounded like a bull crashing through a china shop. We got close to one of the choppers. She held up her hand and squatted. I did the same. I watched as she effortlessly knocked an arrow, drew the bow, took aim, and fired. The next thing I knew, all hell broke loose in the jungle. Present, Jens, in the equipment room. I am pissed as hell for not controlling my team better. And my condition is made all the worse because the old fart Jack was right. Liz got a bug in her, but about Maria, insulted her, and now the two of them are fighting like two women. And for those of you that haven't seen women really fight, it's not a pretty sight. There's hair pulling, clawing, biting, kicking, and all the other non-marital arts bullshit that women do when they fight. Bernie is wise enough to stay out of the way. Hell, the biggest mistake a man can make is trying to break up a fight between two women, as they invariably both turn on the man. Unfortunately, it's my job to stop this bullshit. I begin to push myself up, but it hurts like hell. The wood clamp Maria put on my chest wound bothers the hell out of me, so I pull it off. Then I get a great idea and throw it, with all my imagined strength, at Liz and Maria, who are rolling around on the floor. It smacks Maria upside the head, and she swears, "What the hell?" But it doesn't even slow down the fight. I begin my yoga breathing and meditation to push the pain, which is so severe I want to puke, to the back of my mind. I force myself to my feet and stumble toward them. I get close enough to reach down, grab the wood clamp, and begin to beat the shit out of them. Present, Maria, in the equipment room. Son of a bitch, Liz fights better than I thought she would. Oh, it's not like my earlier fight with my princess boss, which was a martial arts contest. This is a real knockdown, drag-out fight between women, which means it isn't a fair fight, because this is about winning, not being fair. I've lost hell. I don't know how much hair, but I've done my best and given Liz a few bald spots too. Something clocks me upside the head and really pisses me off. I'm getting ready to give this royal pain in the butt bitch a beating she will never forget when someone starts beating the hell out of my back. If it's that damn fiancé of hers, I will rip off his balls. I turn, and I'm totally shocked when I recognize that it's Jens, and the self-inflicted shame at making our situation worse finally gets me to quit fighting. Then, present, Liz, in the equipment room. I'm teaching this princess a thing or two about fighting. Yeah, she might be on top of me, but that was my plan. Suddenly she stops fighting. I see my chance and punch her with my hardest blow right under the chin. She falls on top of me, and I began to whoop. Yeah, that will teach you who the princess is around here. Then I hear Jens softly ask, Are you two about done with your stupidity? I move Maria and see Jens teetering over us with the wood clamp in her hand. She begins to sway, and I yell, "Bernie, catch Jens, she's going to fall." He runs over, grabs her by the arms, and helps lower her to the floor. I push Maria's fat butt off me, crawl over to Jens and ask, "Are you okay?" She coughs up some blood and complains, "Hell no, I'm not okay. My BFF and my girl Friday just had a knockdown drag-out fight." What the hell were you two thinking? Jen is right. I begin to swallow my pride and say, "Sorry, Jens, we weren't." Jens sighs. Her eyes roll back in her head, and she becomes limp. I yell at Bernie. I think that was Jens' last breath, and she's dying. Help me get her to the table. He carries her to the table. I run over behind him and notice that Jens has undone all the work Maria did to her. The wood clamp is missing and blood has covered her shirt. Jens pulled out her fore, and there's blood everywhere from it, and the chest tube thing is lying on the table. I feel for a pulse. Thank God there is a pulse. I look at Bernie and say, "We need Maria. Please wake her up." Bernie waffles, "Liz, after your fight, I'm not sure that is such a wise idea." I counter, "Bernie, if we can't wake up Maria, then Jens might die." I watch as Bernie grabs a pitcher, fills it full of water, walks over, and dumps it on Maria. Maria wakes up and yells. Present, Maria, in the equipment room. Hell's bells. Someone throws a pitcher of cold damn water on me, and I'm mad as a wet hen. Wait, what the hell happened? Hell, I remember. I stopped fighting because Jens was beating the shit out of me with the wood clamp, and that damn bitch Liz landed a lucky punch. I jump up and announce, "Liz Morgan, your butt is grass." I notice she's at the table by Jens, and she announces, "Maria, we can settle this later if we still need to. Jens desperately needs our help." I run over to the table, and hell no. Jens has undone everything I did. Hell, her chest wound is bleeding like the horsehead scene from The Godfather. The blood transfusion is spilling all over the floor, and she even pulled out her chest tube, and her lung has collapsed again. No, this actually looks worse than the horsehead scene from The Godfather. I realize how stupid it was to fight with Liz. Hell, it might cost me my princess boss's life. I begin working on her again and order, "Get me some more blood," and warm it like before. Present, Mike, formerly Major and then Captain M, at the cabin. What a hell of a night. I am frustrated as hell since nothing has gone as planned. Not only has Ben, and whoever his accomplice is, avoided the drone and the Apaches, he pranked the hell out of me, blew the shit out of the porta-potties, literally, and made me look and smell like shit in front of the special forces. All I want to do is get back to my hotel, clean up, and regroup for tomorrow. I plan on commandeering one of the Chinooks to take me back to my hotel since Ben put a .50 caliber hole into the engine on my chopper. I'm finally settled in the Chinook. The pilot fires up the engine. There's a loud bang. The indicator lights on the control panel go crazy, and the pilot yells, "Hell, we need to get out of here now, before she blows." The scumsucker pilot opens his door and takes off like his, but is on fire, leaving me to fend for myself inside the ticking time bomb Chinook. I roll to the side door, open it, and suddenly face a hell of a drop-off. I can't wait for help, so I push the wheels on my wheelchair and launch myself out of the Chinook. I hit the ground hard, hear my backup wheelchair go crack, and tumble, but over elbows. The captain runs up and questions, "Sir, are you okay?" I order, "Get me away from here before the chopper blows up." The captain and a couple of helpers haul my butt away from the Chinook before it explodes. After a few minutes, a grunt comes up and reports to the captain, "Sir, Mike's wheelchair is broken and the Chinook isn't going to blow up." Apparently, our Tango put flashbangs into the air intakes on the engines. When the pilot started the engines on this Chinook, they detonated and made him believe the engines were going to explode. This was determined when we did an immediate search of the other Chinooks. I swear, Captain, where the hell were your men when this happened? He defends his actions and his butt. "Sir, they were guarding the prisoner tent as you ordered earlier." I plead in the hope that something went right. "Please tell me some of the prisoners tried to escape and are now not counted among the living." The captain deflates my wishes. "Sorry, sir. It appears that they are obeying Jack Reynolds. He ordered them not to attempt escape or to even remove their shackles." Son of a bitch, I was flanked again. Present, Ben, at the cabin. I am quite pleased with the opening battles of this mission. I'm not sure of all the results yet, but just seeing the porta-potty explode with the son of a bitch mic in it was worth all my effort. I begin to make my MRE and ask, "Destiny, would you like an MRE?" She states, "Yes, Ben, but I am ashamed to tell you I do not know how to prepare them." I consider for a moment checking if I have either a Captain Upchuck chicken or hot dog MRE, but reconsider because she was a hell of a help earlier with her bow. I rummage through the MREs and continue. "You have your choice of Thai chicken or beef stew." She asks, "Is the Thai chicken spicy?" I reply, "It's not bad by itself, but if you trust me to work on it, then it's pretty damn good and spicy." For dessert, I will show you how to make recon cookies from what's left. She totally blows me away when she asks, would it be similar to the way you fixed Jennifer's, Jack's, and Ivan's MREs? I am baffled, shake my head trying to fathom how she asked what she asked, stand up as best I can in this cramped bunker and demand, how the hell do you know about my MREs I made for them? She calms me, Ben, sit back down. Ivan made your special MREs for Liz, Bernie, Maria, and a little for Jens, all of whom are trapped in the tunnels. Jack and the others had to eat cold MREs in the prisoner tent because the greenie slaves said the heaters could be used to create bombs, and so withheld any means to heat the MREs. Jack was especially upset because he gave his roast beef MRE to Mabel and ate her hot dog MRE. What the hell? How in the hell does she know all this? I confront and deliver an timely ultimatum. Destiny, you need to tell me how the hell you know all this information immediately. Otherwise, I'm kicking you the hell out of this bunker, and you will be on your own. Destiny smiles and assures me, Ben, when the hell will you believe me? As I have told you before, I am a shaman, and I see what others see and feel what they feel. By the way, your flashbangs worked on the first Chinook Mike tried to take. Your surprise scared, as you would say, the hell out of him, and he broke his last wheelchair escaping from the helicopter when he felt it was going to explode. However, they found the flashbangs in the other Chinooks, and Mike is now heading back to his hotel in Denver in one of those Chinooks. I begin to prepare our MREs and swear, son of a bitch, I should have known they would have found the other flashbangs. I hate wasting ordnance on faulty planning. Destiny one again tries to calm me. Ben, don't worry. They haven't found your bear traps yet. That comment makes me feel better because those are going to temporarily take troops out of the patrols. I hand Destiny her improved Thai chicken and she questions, Ben, I sense you have plans for the little Tabasco bottles you saved? I smile and explain, I learned a little trick in Iraq with these bottles that I don't think the greenies have learned. But first I need to give the greenies some music to listen to tonight. Destiny smiles and confirms my feelings. Yes, music can be a powerful psychological weapon. I continue, then this song should really fix their butts. I hook up my music player to my comm station, which happens to have all the security keys for their comm stations, fire it up, lean back and comment. Well, I don't know about you, but I need to get some sleep to get ready for tomorrow night's missions. Destiny asks, which song are you playing for them? I laugh. It's by Wednesday 13, and it called Bad Things Happen to You 1. Destiny states, I don't know that song. I roll over, laugh and promise, you will by tomorrow, and unless I'm wrong the prisoners will all be singing it. Present, Jack, in prison at the cabin. We are all laughing about the joke that was better than Linus' lame joke when I ask, what the hell is that song? It sounds like someone put a cat in a blender. I hate death metal music. Linus answers, hell if I know, I've never heard it before. Many of the older guys agree. Hell, you can't call that music. Damn greenies are using psychological warfare on us. Does someone have some earplugs? From the back, one on the younger guys pops up. Hell yeah, this is a great song called Bad Things Happen to You by Wednesday 13. We played it all the time in the sandbox to get ready for missions. They begin to sing, and I immediately know it's Ben's work. The sneaky scumsucker has begun psychological warfare. A bullet in your head is how I want it. Your body on the floor, a Kodak moment. You're a waste of air and a waste of space. I want sharp objects to fly into your face. I hate you now more than I ever did. I want to kill you, dig you up and do it again. I want a car to run over your head. Put it in reverse and do it again. And I would be lying if I said that it wasn't true. I only want bad things to happen to you. Hell, once I understand the words and figure out Ben is doing this, I tell everyone. This isn't the greenies using this music, it's Ben. Once they heard it, the older guys started to like the song and begin to sing it with the younger guys, especially the chorus, until the grunt with a target on his chest walks in and yells, shut the hell up. This damn song is on all the comm units and is driving us crazy. We quiet down. He leaves and I proudly state, now that's my Ben. Then I command, present, Mira, Ira and Alex, at the cache. My emotions are still slightly agitated. So with Alexei on his mission, I confront Ira. I am not certain it is wise to encourage Alexei to mate with Samantha Stevens. She grins at me and confounds my complacency with her reply. Marinka, do I detect an overabundance of maternal instincts toward Alexei? I pose an alternate juxtaposition. Irinka, Ben is here and is waging guerrilla warfare with the special forces. She sits upright and comments, now I fully comprehend your amassed maternal instincts. And this was to be comprehended and indeed anticipated. They have invaded his property. Alexei breathlessly returns and informs us, my sisters, I have news. I command, Alexei, calm yourself and recite the news. He takes several calming breaths and begins. I reconnoitered and discovered that Ben Blaine is indeed here with an unknown accomplice. They have already performed numerous attacks against the special forces. But the greatest of all was against an individual called Mike. He exploded the toilet while Mike was resting upon it. Ira interrupts, Alexei, tell me, is this individual incapacitated and uses a wheelchair? Alexei confirms, yes, he does. Ira cautions, Alexei, this man, even though he appears incapacitated, is an incredibly formidable adversary. You must never battle him alone or perform anything which would incur his wrath. I supply additional information. Yes, Alexei, Mike is an expert of the highest degree in Kali, is an umbrella term for the traditional martial arts of the Philippines, Filipino martial arts, or FMA, that emphasize weapon-based fighting with sticks, knives and other bladed weapons, and various improvised weapons, sticks. His weapons will be hidden in his wheelchair. Alexei questions, have you two ever confronted him in battle? I look at Ira. She nods and I confirm. When I was training with Ben at a CIA-sponsored encampment, I did have an occasion to fight him. Unfortunately, the fight was to a draw. Please provide more information on Ben's toilet surprise. Alexei continues his report. I do have a few questions. Ben used flashbangs in the toilet when it might have been more advisable to use C4 or other charges. They exploded while Mike was in the toilet and covered him with fecal matter. Ira explains the seeming inconsistency. Alexei, it would appear that Ben is using psychological warfare against Mike. Alexei becomes animated when he adds more information. Then that would explain the comm channels all being jammed with this terrible song. Ira requests, let our tympanic units experience this melody. Alexei plays it, and I laugh. Yes, that would be a song which Ben would utilize since it sends an unequivocal message of threat to Mike and his minions. We begin to discuss further information when something occurs. Present, Stacy and Samantha, on the way back to the camp. With Bill properly motivated on who he really works for, we head to the drilling site where they are trying to enter the tunnels. I order, Bill, we need to have an armed contingent here at all times, and we need better access control for this area. Bill questions, Ms. Summers, to do that will require twice the number of men we currently are using. I explain my feeling. Bill, I have a concern that Jennifer Donaldson could still be a target in the tunnels. I don't care how many more men it takes. I want this site secured. And while you're at it, I want 4 of our best men to accompany me and Samantha whenever we leave our compound. Bill gives me a troubled look and further questions, Stacy, do you have concerns about your own safety? I reply, yes, Bill, there could be a serious threat to my safety. We just talked with Miranda Sedankina in the CSH. She doesn't appear at this time to know of my previous relationship with Ben. However, I am sure she will eventually obtain that information. When she does, I might be seen as a possible threat to her supposed love for Ben. Bill interrogated, were there others with her? I grimly reply, her twin sister Irina, who is recovering from wounds, their brother Alexei, who has taken an interest in Samantha, and a man who is still unconscious. Bill reinforced my concerns, Stacy, if they want you dead, I don't think there is any way to protect you while you remain here. I look at Bill and suggest, Ben taught me a few tricks that we can use to minimize the danger. He questioned, and those are? We arrive at the tunnel excavation and I answer, the less that you know of our plans, in this case, the better. We talk to the engineer who reports, Ms. Summers, good news. With our current rate of operation, we should break into the tunnel about mid-morning. Of course, we won't know exactly until we enter the tunnel as to how stable it will be. I pat him on the back and congratulate him. Good job. Then I look around, motion to Bill, and order, Bill, after what we saw in the CSH, I want our own team of medical people standing by. In fact, let's get Lake County SAR involved. Make sure we have flight surgeons available for our choppers. I motion to Samantha and say, I don't know about you, but I'm tired as hell. We head back to our compound, and I ask, Stacy, do you remember to get the code word? Stacy responds, hell no, I was too shaken up and thinking about other things. I laugh and say, well, I sure remember, it's stick rifle. Stacy laughs, and I question, do you really feel we are in danger from Alexei's sisters? Stacy gives me a firm look and answers, hell yes we are. If Miranda thinks I am a possible threat to her, and Ben, then I will become a major target. She fell deeply in love with him many years ago, and from what I've understood, it's only grown deeper over the years. We get to our tents and I remark, it will sure be good to turn that cot into a Dreamland Express. Then Stacy shocks me by saying, present, Zarika and Yasmin, escape. Yasmin angrily replies, who ya callin' crack a hoe? Teacher's pet. He counters, who ya callin' teacher's pet? Dat only teachin' here be when I teach ya, white crackatirap. Yasmin listens to the beat of their music, starts to sway, gyrate and move her hands, which to me look like gang signs. Then she begins. Present, Byron, Tom, and Inga. It's raining hell on the drug lord. It does me good to see Tom working with someone besides our old SIFs team or me. I notice Tom's hand signals, then Inga's hand signals, and I know they have another plan that doesn't include the recons, and frankly, I don't blame them. They move in a different direction as the recons begin to move toward the building, and I caution over the comm. Hey you guys, I wouldn't be too quick on getting into a burning building. The team leader states, we can't let the drug lord escape. I try to talk some sense into them. Do you really think the drug lord would still be in a burning building that's half blown to hell? The team leader foolishly removes all doubt about his leadership ability. It doesn't matter. We still need to check the building. I have to admit, working with Inga has been better than I thought it would be. Hell, there have been several times, like with the landmine, that she's saved my bacon. Perhaps I need to reconsider this lone wolf penchant of mine. We leave the burning building to the recons as Inga and I head down a wharf and toward a dock. We're at the edge of the wharf when all hell breaks loose with weapons fire. I was concerned about this once I saw the wharf. The drug lord had most likely used one of his fast boats, that he smuggles drugs with, to escape the compound. We reach the edge of the wharf when his security forces begin to fire on us again. I give Tom some hand signals, and then flashback, Ben, in the Hind 24 headed to the hospital. After I confronted Masha about her lie to me about Tatiana's injuries, she finally confessed, but I suddenly wished like hell she had continued the lie. She haltingly clarified the situation. Ben, I hate to tell you this, but Tatiana's injuries were caused by shrapnel from one of your grenades. I swore, taking a page from All the Russian Women, T. How in the hell did that happen? Jack interrupted and tried to smooth things over. Come on, Ben. It's not like your aim was perfect with your grenade bat. I was not appeased. In fact, it further inflamed my anger. Of course the hell my aim wasn't perfect. But what the hell was Tatiana doing on the son of a bitch battlefield? She should have been back at the hospital where she belonged. Masha immediately stood up and yelled. Flashback, Masha, in the Hind 24 headed to the hospital. Ben's recent statement and Jack's earlier statement about how Tatiana and I needed to be in the places they thought we should be were too much. Who in Hades did they think they were? They were certainly not gods who could command us where to travel with a wave of their hands. I stood up and yelled, mainly at Ben but also at Jack because he also needed to understand. I thought and made sure to say it in English so Jack would comprehend. Benny Blaine and Jack Reynolds. Just who in the hell do you think you are? I deliberately paused, waiting for Ben and Jack to instinctively defend their indefensible position. Then, interrupting boldly, perhaps rudely by Russian standards, I stated, that was a rhetorical question, so don't bother answering in an attempt to deflect my growing frustration. Tatiana and I are Russian women, and we are nothing like your American counterparts. Stop ignoring reality and listen to the truth. We are raised from an early age to care for our men, not just the good ones, but even those who barely deserve our respect, as they often take our devotion for granted. Tatiana and I have been blessed by God to find the love of two wonderful American men who are totally different than the typical Russian man. Unless I am incorrect, you respect us, cherish us, and have no plans to find younger consorts. However, this does not mean that we are your slaves, and it certainly does not mean that you can command us where to go or tell us where to stay. Ben, Tatiana was here because you were in harm's way. The same reason I was here for Jack. Yes, she was slightly injured in trying to stop the attack of the BTR-80. You need to accept that and concentrate on comforting her. She did it for you, not for herself. And Jack, you need to realize that I will always be here for you even when you are in harm's way, and even though I might be carrying your child. Flashback, Jack, in the Hind 24 headed to the hospital. After Masha read us the riot act, I was truly humbled. However, my feeble brain finally settled on her last statement. To settle my troubled mind, I humbly asked, Masha, are you telling me you're pregnant? She gave me a flummoxed look and answered, Jack, I was taking all the normal precautions, however I am late. Like a fool I continued digging the hole deeper. Late like a day or two. She swore that Russian saying I didn't understand. No Jack, more than a week and I am very worried. I looked at Ben for support. He nodded his head, so I know I had his support, and offered the only solution I knew was right. Well then Masha, we need to get married immediately. I guess what I said was for this time correct because Masha ran into my arms, hugged me, and began to cry. Flashback, Ben, in the Hind 24 headed to the hospital. Well, that was certainly a short but intense reminder of the character of Russian women. However, it was still and always would be upsetting as hell to me that one or more of my grenades injured Tatiana. That was the last thing I wanted, but I did learn that if I was in a battle, I needed to make sure Tatiana wasn't with me. Yeah, Masha might say she and Tatiana's place were beside us in battle. But hell, I was old school and a woman's place was any place except a battle. I hesitate to say a woman's place was in the kitchen because that would start a new fight which I could never win, and I probably didn't want to win in the first place. But if Masha was knocked up with Jack's baby, the lucky as hell old fart. I needed Tatiana more than ever to help me arrange the wedding before Masha couldn't fit into a wedding dress. Because my earlier attempts to contact the wedding planner without Tatiana's help failed miserably, I needed her help more than ever. We landed at the hospital after what seemed like a hell of a short flight, so I asked the pilot. I've ridden in many helicopters before, and for the most part they are slow as hell. How the hell did you get here so fast? Before the pilot could answer, Elena interrupted by doing her primary job as she opened the side door, jumped out, and stated, "I will transport Tatiana to the helicopter. Please do not leave the helicopter." After the interruption, the pilot answered, "Unlike your American helicopters, we do not overload our helicopters with weapons and other things. Our transmissions and airframes are over-designed to handle the loads we carry. In fact, for many years a modified Hind 24, piloted by women, held the straight flight speed record for helicopters." The gunner swore with a passion, "Yes, our speed record was valid and set by the female crew of Galina Rastorgueva and Ludmila Polyanskaya. On September 21, 1978, their modified A-10 set the absolute speed record for helicopters with 368.4 kilometers per hour, 228.9 miles per hour, over a 25 kilometers, about 15 miles, course. The record stood until 1986 when it was broken by the current record holder, a modified Westland Lynx. However, the British cheated. Since I had to wait for Elena to bring out my girlfriend, and I needed a distraction, I questioned further, how in the hell did they cheat, because it sounds to me like you loaded up the A-10 with lighter female pilots. The gunner very proudly informed me, "We know the Lynx was the world's first fully aerobatic helicopter." In 1986, a specially modified Lynx set the current official airspeed record for helicopters. However, it was never produced. In the 21st century, a modernized military variant of the Lynx, designated as the Augusta Westland AW-159 Wildcat, was created but was not as fast. Therefore, the airspeed record of the A-10 stands since it was made by a standard production model. I considered for a very brief moment countering the claim, but I glanced at Jack and he shook his head, so I replied, "Well, it sounds to me like the British once again cheated." I made the correct decision because both the pilot and weapons officer confirmed, "Hell yes, they certainly cheated." Then the pilot answered the question that bothered me. "Yes, we used female pilots, but that was to prove that our female pilots are more proficient than male pilots of other nations." Thank God Elena arrived with the gurney carrying a very obviously stoned Tatiana. The gurney swayed and rattled with each bump. She began to load the gurney into the crocodile, and I unwisely questioned, "What the hell is wrong with Tatiana?" Jack helped Elena tie down the gurney, and the pilots questioned, "Is everyone secure?" We all replied affirmatively, and the crocodile took off like its butt was on fire. I was sure the pilot was showing off. Once we in the air, Elena gave me a funny look and answered my previous question. An FSB agent stated that she should be sedated, and the hospital staff, in fear of their families, more than complied with her directive. And now, unfortunately, Tatiana is totally unresponsive other than occasionally muttering gibberish. I was pissed as hell because Tatiana was stoned out of her head, so she wasn't responding to anything. I tried to squeeze her hand, but got nothing. I even gave her a hell of a kiss on the lips, and there was still no response. I demanded, "Just who the hell was this FSB agent, because I want a word with that scumsucker." Elena unfortunately stated, "The FSB agent left shortly after issuing the command to keep Tatiana sedated. But do not worry, Ben. I will administer Narcan, which will bring her out of her drug-induced stupor." As Elena prepared the injection, I thought for several moments, looked lovingly at Tatiana, and questioned, "Will the Narcan cause her pain?" Elena slightly rolled Tatiana to show me her back, which looked like the contents of a meat wagon. I felt like hell that I did this to my girlfriend, while Elena quickly replied, "With the extent of her injuries, the Narcan, if administered too rapidly, will cause Tatiana severe pain." I contemplated the injuries of Tatiana and my own feelings, then I made a decision. "Elena, can you keep her slightly sedated until we reach Moscow?" I was surprised when Masha confirmed my plan because I didn't realize Masha knew anything about drugs. "Ben, that is a very smart idea since Tatiana could feel extreme pain if you awakened her." I looked at Masha and tried to judge again if she was lying to me or if she only had Tatiana's best interest at heart. My scrutiny unfortunately failed this time to produce a resolution both for myself and Tatiana. So I decided the best course of action was to keep Tatiana mildly sedated. "Yes, Elena, please keep Tatiana slightly sedated until we reach Moscow." Elena disposed of the dose of Narcan and stated, "We're probably better off not medicating her at all and letting the morphine wear off naturally." Elena then ordered, "Okay, Ben, it's time for us to inspect your ribs." I began to complain that I was fine when some really bad shit happened. Flashback, Glenn, At the military hospital, interview with the J. I still saw red at the embarrassment produced by a very drunk Evelyn. Hell, with what she said to the J, I was sure my military career was over. The J began to leave the room to visit Jennifer and motioned with his eyes for me to come into the hallway. I looked at Evelyn to tell her where I was going, but she had passed out on the table snoring like a chainsaw. As I walked into the hallway, the J looked at me and commented, "Sir, it must be hell living with a drunk like that." I figured with what he'd seen and heard there was no point in attempting to lie to him, so I agreed. "You don't know the half of it." He gave me a warm smile and surprised me when he stated, "Sir, please don't worry about this since it happens more often than you could imagine. You're in the right place because we're going to get her into an alcoholic recovery program right here in the hospital. However, we still have another matter at hand." I extended my hand, gave him a firm handshake, and thanked him. "You don't know how much I appreciate this." His look became more serious when he said, "However, we still need to deal with what Evelyn did to your daughter Jennifer. Does she beat Jennifer often?" I gave him a shocked look and instantly answered, "Hell no, this is the first time she's ever done that." The J requested, "Do you mind if I verify this with her?" I gladly answered, "Hell yeah, you can ask her anything you want." He said one more thing. "If we can convince Jennifer's nurse that this was a one-time occurrence and prove to her Evelyn is in an alcoholic recovery program, then we should be able to persuade her to withdraw her complaint." He left to visit Jennifer while I went back into the room and felt much relieved. Even with the current problems, I still loved my wife. If we could get her off the sauce and back to the lovely woman she was before, it would be great. Flashback? Yents, at the military hospital. With my nurse Katie out of my hair for the time being, I went back to bed, opened up the lid on my sleeping computer, and sent a quick email to my BFF. Then I closed the lid on the computer and went back to practicing Swan Lake. It was really strange practicing in the scrubs that Katie brought me. I had never performed ballet in anything that didn't fit my skin very tightly. These flapped around and annoyed the heck out of me, so there was no way they were going to work. I closed my door, looked at the clothes that Evelyn brought me, and wasn't really happy with any of it to dance in. I looked at what Daddy brought me and struck a gold mine. I was going to give Daddy the biggest and best hug ever when he got back to my room. I took off the loose scrubs and put on the camo sports bra and camo yoga pants that Daddy found for me. Then I stood in front of the mirror and assessed my body. I wondered if my chest was ever going to grow because the way it was right now, I really didn't need the sports bra. But I did like how the outfit showed off my six-pack abdominals. I worked like heck to make sure I never got fat, not like that one fat cow girlfriend that Ben almost married. There was a knock on the door, so I turned toward the door and said, "Come in." I couldn't believe it when he walked into my room. Flashback, Alexei, in the laboratory. I knew that I had accomplished something major when I took my butter knife and began to saw at my wrists. Instantly, the door to my cell flew open and a man in a white coat rushed into the room. He ordered, "Stop trying to cut yourself." I laughed and parroted, "Stop trying to cut yourself." He approached me to disarm me, but I easily dodged him and stabbed at him with my butter knife. He yelled, "I need help in here." Two more men ran into the room, and one teased, "Can't you take care of one little boy?" I decided to show them just how well this little boy could fight, so I grabbed my tray of food and threw it at the one guard who teased the other one. In the confusion, I saw my opening, dashed between the guards, and rushed out into the hallway. I was free. I ran down the hallway, turned the corner, and ran right into Flashback, Mira, Ira, and Safia, in Israel. We were all gassed of flabbergasted when Ira expertly picked the lock on the supposed former eunuch's quarters and dismayed to find they were inhabited by naked young girls chained to the beds, as one would chain a mongrel dog to a post. Discussion abounded on which course of action would be the best for them. I expertly determined there was only one way in which these girls could be redeemed. I very angrily informed Akam, because of the unknown status of these girls, whether their parents have possibly sold them into this sexual slavery. The rest of their life will be cursed, and you with it unless you perform the proper act and marry all of them. Akam still abided on the floor and further whined, "But I already have a harem, and besides I have no interest in young girls." My sister Ira reminded him, "You seem to have forgotten that your current harem has been corrupted. They have no love or desire for men, and especially for you." Safia added, "Yes, Ira is correct. They have all, even my sister, expressed a great disgust for ever having a sexual relationship with you again." Akam brought a valid question to our discussion. "Then what should I do with my current harem?" We are amazed at Safia's suggestion. Flashback, Todd, on the island. Lou's arrow pierced the chopper's lower window and instantly impaled the pilot. The chopper began to gyrate wildly and descended toward us. Then all hell broke loose because the other Chinese choppers strafed the jungle. Lou took off in one direction, I took off in the other direction and hid under a tree. Then I saw troops begin to rappel down from the choppers. Since the only weapon I had was the bow, I knocked an arrow and was surprised as hell when I actually took out one of the troops. However, that garnered their attention and they directed their fire at me, but not before I skewered another one of them. As the rounds got closer to me, I knew it was time to bug the hell out of here, but I wished I knew where the hell Lou was. Present, Ben, at the cabin in the bunker. As Destiny and I finish our MREs, she smiles and makes a comment which makes me feel good. I can see why everyone loves your MREs so much. I thought it would be bland or unappetizing, but it might be the best camping meal I've ever had. Almost gourmet quality. With the door open, it was my turn to gather some information on Destiny, so I ask, do you camp often? Her answer is a relative surprise, but also reinforces my feeling that she's an unreformed hippie chick. Ben, I don't have a house, a home, or even a place to lay my head and haven't for a very long time, so yes, I camp almost all the time. I look at her waist-length blonde hair and remembered how much I hated growing my hair longer as part of my disguise. And question, isn't it a pain in the butt keeping all that long hair clean? She answers, not really. I guess I'm blessed because I don't have oily hair. And I do like to camp by water if it's available, so I can wash it frequently. But that reminds me, I do need to braid it for the night. If I forget to braid it, it's a pain in the butt combing out all the tangles in the morning. She begins to braid her hair, then obviously enters one of her trances, comes out of it, and suggests, Ben, you might want to connect to Jennifer again. She needs you more than ever. Once again, I wonder how the hell she seems to know all the things she knows, and I begin to wonder if she might actually be a shaman. I reply, I'm going to turn out the light, and then I will connect to her. I am thankful as hell I had the foresight to turn out the light, because once I connect to Jens, I can't stop the tears from flooding down my face. I'm screwed because she's dead. Present, Maria, in the equipment room. My princess boss has really screwed up this time. Actually, that's not right because Liz and I screwed up and my princess boss paid the price for our stupidity. I've stopped the bleeding again and put the chest tube back in, but I'm still waiting for the blood and, son of a bitch, because of her depleted blood volume, she's going into hypovolemic shock. Hypovolemic shock is an emergency condition in which severe blood and fluid loss make the heart unable to pump enough blood to the body. This type of shock can cause many organs to stop working. Losing about 1/5 or more of the normal amount of blood in your body causes hypovolemic shock. Yeah, she has many of the warning signs. She's unconscious, her skin is cool and clammy, her normal rosy cheeks are pale as hell, her respiration is fast and shallow, and her pulse is rapid, weak, and thready. I open her fore wide open and order Liz. Jens is going into shock. We need to force the fluids into her. Squeeze the hell out of the fore bag, and whatever you do, don't let it run dry. I continue. Bernie, we need that blood like yesterday, so move your butt. I point and order, then get me the damn crash cart. It's right over there. Amazingly, Ivan pushes the cart to me, then he says something even crazier than his normal crazy shit. Present, Jens, in the equipment room. 1 minute I'm in my body, and the next minute, I'm flying above it again like that time in Germany. Somehow Ivan sees me, points right at me, and says, Donald Ducks and Lady fly around the room like Angel Princess. Maria barks at him, get the hell out of the way, brat, and let me do my job. I remember how much fun this was in Germany, so I just get ready to fly out and see what the hell is going on when I feel Ben trying to connect to my empty body. OMG, hell no. Ben thinks I'm dead. I'm shocked at the pain he feels when he tries to connect to me. I didn't think he still loved me. I rush back into my body, feel instant relief from Ben, and then something ruins everything. Present, Maria, in the equipment room. I don't know what the hell the Ivan brat is talking about, Jens flying around the room like an angel, but I do know her heart has stopped, and she stopped breathing. I grab the defibrillator paddles off the crash cart, flip on the defibrillator, gel the pads, set the charge to 100 and yell, everyone clear. And I zap the hell out of her. I wait, but the ECG on the crash cart still doesn't show a pulse, so I crank up the level to 200, wait for it to charge, and yell, clear. This time my princess boss's pulse returns, and Liz congratulates, great job, Maria. Ivan interrupts the accolades. Donald Ducks and Lady not happy you broke her connection with Uncle Ben. I swear and begin to give him chase. I've had my fill of you, you mouthy little son of a bitch. I'm going to spank the hell out of you until you can't sit down for a week. For being a little brat, he's damn fast, and small enough he can hide under things. I almost catch him under one of the tables when I hear my princess boss order, Maria, if you spank Ivan you are fired. I stop chasing the brat for now, head over to see my princess boss, and she tries to explain things to me. Maria, Ivan is correct. I was outside my body until Ben connected with me again. Then I came back and your damn shocking of me broke the connection. You've been a hell of a girl Friday for me. However, if you and Ivan can't manage to get along with each other, you're going to have to leave. I console. Jens, you just worry about getting well and stop pulling out all your tubes. Jens countermands. Then no more fighting from any of you. Maria, Liz, Bernie, and even Ivan. Ivan promises, I be good boy Donald Duckson lady and make you more pictures. That makes me happy because he will be out of my hair. Bernie brings over the blood, and I start the transfusion on my princess boss again. I look at Liz and suggest, we really need to find some clean clothes for Jens and get her cleaned up. Present, Mike, formerly Major and then Captain M, at the hotel. I can't remember a time I've been more pissed off. This day has been worse than the time Glenn sent me and Colonel Maggie to Thule together and assigned us to the same room. Damn, it's even worse than when I got blamed for Sergeant Blaine's shenanigans and was busted from Major to Captain. Just remembering how that happened reinforces my resolve to catch or kill that scumsucker and make him pay. We finally reached the hotel. Two grunts had to carry me out of the Chinook on a stretcher because I busted up my backup wheelchair when I bailed out of the booby-trapped Chinook. Things begin to go better as we approach the door because the concierge rushes out and says, here's your new wheelchair, sir. I snap an order, set the stretcher down beside the wheelchair. The grunts manage to do that while almost tipping me off the stretcher. Then one of them asks, do you need some help, sir? My fuse is short tonight, so I lay into him. Hell no, I don't need any damn help. I've been doing this for years. I twist sideways on the stretcher, pull the front of the wheelchair against my back, reach down with my hands, and bend both my knees toward my chest. Then I reach as far back as I can and place both my hands on the side seat supports, push down with all my strength, and slide into the new wheelchair. Once I position myself correctly, I reach down with my hands and put my feet on the foot plates. Then I try out the chair by doing a wheelie. I complain to the concierge, we will need to get the store that sold you this chair here first thing tomorrow morning to adjust the wheel bearings, and to also straighten the frame since it's slightly bent and doesn't track straight. He answers, yes sir. However, I'm sure I can get them here tonight if you need them. The last thing I want is for anyone else to see me or smell me in my current condition, so I order, no, I don't want them here tonight. But do call them and have them bring me another chair like this in the morning. They can set both of them up the same. He leaves, I look over, and the grunts are still standing around, so I bark. What the hell are you two still doing here? Don't you have something else to be doing? One of them answers, sorry sir, the captain wanted us to ask when we should send the chopper for you in the morning. I order, 1000 and make sure you're not late. The grunts take off like their butts are on fire, and it feels good to be mobile again as I wheel myself into the hotel. Now to get rid of these clothes and take a long hot shower. Present, Jack, in prison at the cabin. After hearing Ben's psychological warfare song, I realize it's time to make some plans, so I command, everyone, move in closer. It's hard as hell the way we are all chained together, but everyone gets as close as they can. I whisper loudly, if you can all hear me, raise your hand. I look around the tent, almost all the hands are raised except for a couple really old goats. Of course they are also the farthest away from me. I point to the man next to them and continue. Ask them if they have hearing damage. He huddles them close to him, and I hear him whisper my question. They all nod their heads, so I decide. What's your name? He answers, John, sir. I want to complain about the sir comment, but decide I've been made the de facto commanding officer, whether I like it or not. So I order, okay, John, you need to relay everything I say to them and let me know if they have any questions. I look at everyone and begin, unless anyone else wants it. And I know there are some former officers here who are more than qualified, and since Glenn is MIA, I am assuming command. One of the officers raises his hand, and I hope like hell he is going to take command, but then he shoots me down when he states, Jack, you've already done a hell of a job just keeping us from being shot. Plus with Ben, your former sniper, here raising hell with the greenies, I can't think of a better man to command this ragtag group. Linus, the scumsucker, kills any further hope of me being able to weasel out of this command. Besides Jack, Jennifer put you in charge, and even this tent is sort of Ben and Jennifer's cabin site. I look at everyone, see hope in their eyes, and I hope like hell I won't let them down. I take a deep breath and begin. The first thing I'd like to say is I've never seen Ben fight like this before. Usually we came into a place, killed them all, and let God take those he wants. But he's being crafty as hell this time. Somehow he's figured out he needs to fight a guerrilla war, and tonight's opening salvo is a prime example of that. So we need to figure out ways that we can support his war without getting ourselves shot in the process. I am open for any and all suggestions. The one officer interjects, the tenets of guerrilla tactics are based on intelligence, ambush, deception, sabotage, and espionage, resulting in the undermining of an authority through long, low-intensity confrontation. Because this is Ben's property, the greenies are forced to play, as to say, in his backyard, so he already has superior intelligence. Tonight's actions by him have proven that he can mount successful ambushes and attacks. He has successfully avoided the attempts of the greenies to capture him, so he is winning at deception. This leaves two parts where we can help: espionage and support of the local population, which in this case is us. However, the killing of the Marine who refused to submit today proves that we need to be very wise and careful in how we perform these two functions. Linus must catch the drift of things because he says, "Present, Linus, in prison at the cabin." I figure out what the officer is saying, so I clarify. "So, you're saying that we need to be passive-aggressive in our resistance?" The officer agrees. "That's succinctly correct." One of the men asks, "Speak in English, because we need to know just what the hell are you suggesting?" I gladly explain. Passive-aggressive means that instead of openly defying a command or order, you find some way other than direct confrontation to achieve your results. There are many ways to do this, and here are three of the most common methods: procrastination, sullenness, and acting stubborn. You know, sort of how we already respond to orders by officers. That comment gets everyone laughing, except the officers. Jack raises his hand and interjects. The biggest danger of being passive-aggressive is letting it go too far and becoming directly aggressive. I think we witnessed today how a directly aggressive conflict will be handled. Masha raises her hand and suggests, "Many of us here have infirmities. Now would be an excellent time to use those infirmities in a passive-aggressive manner by moving more slowly or acting weaker than we are." I provide additional things to think about. We need to look for ways to force the greenies to do the work they want or expect us to do. For example, tonight we policed up the MRE pouches without being asked. Why did we do that? One of the men interjects, "We did that because we're Marines, not greenies." That comment gets everyone laughing again, so I wait until it dies down and finish. "Well, they sure as hell aren't treating you like Marines, so let's make them pay for treating you like this." That gets a muted hurrah from the Marines. Jack finally says, "These are all good ideas that we can implement tomorrow." Knowing Ben like I know him, he's going to keep that music going all night long, which means two things. One, the greenies won't be able to communicate with each other using their comm sets, and two, they aren't going to be getting much of any sleep tonight. One of the Marines interrupts, "Well, that's just great. Now we're going to have to deal with crankier than normal greenies." We all start to laugh. Jack raises his hand and finishes, "Yes, that's right. They will be on edge, so make sure you don't push them over that edge. Now let's get some sleep so we're not cranky too." One of the young guys adds, "And don't forget to sing or hum the song tomorrow." Jack agrees. Yeah, after they've heard it all night, the last thing they're going to want is to hear us singing it. Present, Todd, Ira, Mira, and Alex, at the cache. I waken and hear a song, not just any song. It's Bad Things Happen to You by Wednesday 13. I cough to alert everyone that I'm awake and then sign a comment. "I didn't know you were a fan of Wednesday 13. Ira, obviously, and strangely for her, states, "Todd, you are awake." I can detect there have been some confrontations between the sisters when Mira taunts, "Ira, why did you vocalize the obvious?" Ira sticks out her tongue. I marvel at times like this when they both act like children, albeit very deadly children, and replies, "My sassy sister, I was simply opening a conversation with Todd." Alexei expresses himself and finally answers my initial question. "Todd, it is good that you are awake, as I wish to express my gratitude for rendering aid to my sister Ira. The song you refer to is being transmitted on all the communication channels by Ben Blaine. That information greatly interests me, so I move in bed to become more comfortable and then sign two questions. So Ben Blaine has arrived, and I assume we are being used as hostages to try to trap him. Do you know who the commanding officer is?" Mira informs, "His name is Mike." I rapidly sign an interruption. "Don't tell me that Scumsucker is here. We're all in the worst danger possible." I begin to move because I want to locate him and kill him. However, my body does not cooperate, so I moan in pain when Ira surprises me. Todd, who I know to have saved my life, tries to locomotivate and moans in pain. I move closer to his bed, observing our beds are adjacent to one another, reach over, touch his arm, smile at him and offer, "Todd, if you are in pain, my sister Mira can administer a powerful analgesic." Todd signs in extreme agitation, "Ira, thank you for the offer. However, with Mike here, I cannot afford to be incapacitated by pain relievers or by my current injuries. I noticed they took my bow, knife, and pistol. Did they by any chance leave my pack?" Alexei states, "Todd, they searched your pack, however, they only took the items they felt were weapons." Todd with greater agitation signs, "Please bring me my pack immediately." Alexei fetches Todd's pack, and when Todd opens his pack, he signs, "They have totally messed up my pack. It will take me an hour to organize it again." Then he holds up a container, smiles, sets it down and signs, "Good, they left it." I pick up the container and upon investigation, it looks like it contains herbs, so I question, "Todd, why is this so important?" I enjoy it as he smiles at me and signs, "Ira, This is the most important item in my pack. You will soon see once I have prepared it, and we have both taken it. I promise you a most miraculous recovery. I am slightly miffed and make a terrible face at Mira as she casts doubt at his assertions. Todd, how can that be? My sister Ira, and you are seriously wounded. It will take many weeks until you are fully functional. Thank God he ignores her, and instead he signs a question. Alexei and Mira, I assume that both of you retain some weapons? Mira answers. I smile and answer, my sister Ira and I have retained our Tessens. Todd looks amazed and signs. I was not aware you both know Tessen Jitsu. I smile and reply, there are many things about us, such as the Tessens, that are better left concealed. Alexei informs and interrogates, Todd, I have retained a tactical pin, some throwing knives, and a baton. What has prompted this line of questioning? Todd takes the lid off his water pitcher, empties the contents of the container in it, sets it on the bedside table, and signs, once Ira and I take this medicine, we will become unconscious for a period of time. With Mike here, we will be vulnerable, so both of you will need to protect us. I have some serious concerns, so I interrogate, what are the contents of this herbal remedy, and will it harm Ira? Todd drinks half of the pitcher, hands it to Ira and signs, I do not know the contents. However, I do know that once we wake up, our injuries will be either greatly diminished or healed. I give him a skeptical look and begin to order, Ira, I do not think it is wise. She shocks me as she takes the pitcher, drinks the rest of the herbal remedy and states, if it is good enough for Todd, then it is certainly adequate for me. I snatch the pitcher out of her hands and scold her, Irina Sedankina, have you lost your mind? I watch with great concern as first Todd drifts into a stupor, then my sister Ira reaches over, takes Todd's hand, and also succumbs to the potion. I look at the pitcher in my hands and notice there is a slight portion of potion left. My first desire is to taste it. However, with Todd and Ira incapacitated, once again I know my primary duty is to protect. I am concerned if I taste the potion it might render me incapacitated, so I transfer the minuscule amount of potion to a small vial for later analysis. Alexei questions. I am very puzzled, so I question my sister, Mira, why has Ira acted so untypically irrational? Mira knowingly smiles and advises, Alexei, unless I am mistaken, our sister Ira has fallen in love. The information is shocking, so I unconsciously stutter, Wah? What are you talking about? Mira directs my gaze to Todd and Ira's intertwined hands and states, I have never known Ira to interdigitate with any man. I am still in shock. My sister Ira in love with Todd? How can it be? Mira then interrogates, in which manner were you able to conceal throwing knives on your corporeal self? I smile and brag. They did not bother to check the soles of my boots where they are concealed. I make a decision. Mira, I will take the first watch and let you take the second watch. Mira smiles but reminds me, Alexei, Mike is an adversary not to be trifled with. I assure her, Mira, after Todd's reaction to Mike, I will comply with all the warnings I have received. I stand, walk to the doorway, and begin my watch. Present, Stacy and Samantha, on the way back to the camp. Samantha foolishly remarks, it will be good to curl up on the cot and go right to sleep. With the possible threat from Mira and Ira, I have decided to take a page out of Ben's teachings. I inform her, Samantha, we will not be sleeping in our cots tonight, or even staying in our tents. Samantha annoyingly whines, Stacy, why the hell not? I thought that's why we had them. I humor her and don't give her shit, like Ben would have, about the whining. Instead, I patiently educate her. Samantha, Ben taught me when you are in possible danger that you never stay where people assume you will be. Now, whether you believe it or not, we are both in very real danger from Mira and Ira. They are trained assassins with a large, but mostly unknown number of kills between them. You heard Bill. If they decide to kill us, no one can stop them. So therefore, we will never be in a place we are expected to be. Samantha questions, then where are we going to sleep? As we reach our compound, the sentry interrogates, word of the day? I simple reply, stick rifle. We pass the sentry, Samantha begins to say something. I squeeze the hell out of her hand and hope she gets the idea. As I get ready to ask Stacy where we're going to sleep tonight, she grabs my hand, squeezes the hell out of it, and I figure out I'm supposed to keep my mouth shut. I'm not happy at all about this change in plans since I wanted to clean myself up and study some on the files Stacy gave me. Now I'm not sure what we're doing. When we get further from the sentry, Stacy leans over and whispers in my ear, Samantha, we need to go into our tents, pretend like we are going to sleep, then slip out the other exit with our sleeping bags. You have 10 minutes to complete this task, and don't whine this time. I seriously think Stacy is overreacting about the twins. I mean, they are Liz's bodyguards, and Liz certainly wouldn't let them be her bodyguards if they were trained assassins. But Stacy has done a hell of a lot for me, and is my BFF, so I will humor her for now. But I can't wait for her to see how wrong she is. I go into my tent, put some pillows under the blankets on the cot, clean up as quickly as I can, grab my sleeping bag, and slip out the other entrance to my nice, wonderful, and warm tent. Good night, tent. Present, Zarika and Yasmin, escape. We are in a confrontation with angry Nubian males who are upset about my driving. Yasmin has confronted them and, amazingly, is acting just like one of them. Perhaps this might be the only time all the time she spent watching music TV might be a good thing. It sounds like one of the Nubian males has challenged her to rap. At least I think that is what he said. Yasmin listens to the beat of their music, starts to sway, gyrate, and move her hands, which to me look like gang signs. Then she begins. What's up? Big mouth, big talk, big game. Teacher's pet, talking aim, pop the tech, talking aim. Plenty range, plenty shot. Plenty change, plenty Glock. Pack the heat, and I'ma keep em hot. And I'ma take my stress right off the top. 'Cause I'm not, nothing like anyone, once on the mic. Wish you might, show you right. Have y'all thinking I'm Barry White. In the night, pack him tight, call a fight, TKO. We got him you ain't no, numero uno. I made the beat, you beat your meat. Ya punk you touch yourself. It be Yasmin H, represent until my death. And anyone else, that want us, you can trust, it ain't no fear. You can talk that in my ear, but it ain't shit. Till you come down here. Everyone in the parking lot has stopped and is listening to her. She finishes, crosses her arms across her chest, and then they all begin to clap and cheer. The Nubian male come over and says, damn girl, you got some righteous moves. Where done did you learn T-rap like stat? Yasmin keeps her tough attitude and answers, that's F-O-M-E-T-No, now leave us alone. What it is, mama? She points at me and continues, come on crib girl, we need to get directions. We walk into the 7-Eleven and I question, can you give us directions to Leadville? The storekeeper is much nicer than the marijuana storekeeper and says, if you give me a few minutes I will write them down for you. It's not hard to find. Present, Ben, at the cabin in the bunker. When I connect to Jens, at first she wasn't there. It was like she was dead because her spirit was missing. The next thing I knew she was there, and then something happened that broke our connection. The feeling of her being dead scared the hell out of me. In fact, I can't remember a time in my life I've been more scared. As much as I hate to admit it, I still deeply love her, and I wish like hell we could be together. But without being able to give her the children she told me she wanted so many times, that's just so much wishful thinking. After I know she's alive and our connection is terminated, I heave a huge sigh of relief, then Destiny asks, Ben, is everything okay? I angrily snap. You of all people know better than to ask me that. Why didn't you warn me? Destiny very logically counters, because you wouldn't have believed me. You would have argued with me, and then it would have been too late. I think for a few moments and work up the courage to continue. So then when I first connected to Jens, she was really dead. Destiny laughs her peculiar laugh, the one that sounds like leaves on a tree rustling, and replies, no Ben, she wasn't dead. I interrupt, but her spirit wasn't there, it was. Destiny interrupts, Ben, for being so close to death for so many years, you have a very poor understanding of death. Jennifer was only mostly dead. There's a big difference between mostly dead and all dead. I recognize the quote and chortle. Okay, Miracle Max, next you're going to tell me that with all dead. Well, with all dead there's usually only one thing you can do. Go through her clothes and look for loose change. Destiny laughs and answers, I see you know your Princess Bride quotes, but there's much more truth to that statement than you would believe. Just think of all the stories you've heard of people having near-death experiences. Jennifer had her second near-death experience. Her spirit was outside of her body when you tried to connect to it. She sensed you trying to connect and returned to her body. I'm shocked and stutter her second near-death experience? Destiny yawns and confirms, yes, her second near-death experience. Now the sun is up and we need to get some sleep for tonight's missions. We can discuss this more later. I check my watch and verify that she's right. Dawn should have just happened. I drift off to sleep and have a hell of a dream about the Princess Bride. And yes, Jens is Buttercup and I'm Wesley. Present, Inga, Tom, and Byron. It's raining hell on the drug lord. We encounter fire from more of the drug lord's minions as we reach the beginning of the wharf. I signal Tom to provide cover fire for me. I assume Byron must have also seen my hand signals because between Tom and Byron my butt is very much covered. I slip into the water and begin to work my way closer to the minions. While this alone makes having Inga along worthwhile. I sure as hell didn't want to get in the water because it's not the cleanest water I've ever seen, and I still sometimes have nightmares about leech encounters from Nam. I begin covering her so she doesn't get hurt. The last thing I want to do is have to dive in and save her. Byron must have figured things out because he's giving the drug lord's men hell too. I almost laugh and wonder how Tom talked Inga into taking the water route instead of him. Yeah, he hates getting in the water. Hell, the only time he gets at the water when we're together is when he takes a shower. At least he does those daily. I help Tom provide cover for Inga. I'm firing at one of the boats when all hell breaks loose. The boat explodes in a massive fireball, which triggers the other two boats on the dock to explode. The good news is it takes out the rest of the drug lord's men, but the bad news is I don't see Inga anywhere. Tom calms me. Shit, Byron, what the hell did you do? I answer, hell, I was just shooting the boats. They must have all been rigged to self-destruct. You now have a bigger problem. Do you see Inga? Tom begins to scan the water and swears thorough the calm. Hell no, I don't see her. Then continues, shit, this means I have to get in the water to try to find her. I worry about Inga and console Tom. Well, she did come back for you when you foolishly stepped on the landmine. I secretly smile as I watch Tom drop his gear and dive into the water where we last saw Inga. Flashback, Ben, in the Hind, 24 headed to Moscow. Hell's bells, Elena wanted to look at my ribs. I sure the hell wish I could have continued to lie to her about my injuries. I wondered if I had a tell, like a bad poker player, that indicated when I lied. I needed to get Jack alone and grill the hell out of him on this, because my lies failed too often. Elena came over beside me and continued her orders. Okay, Ben, let's get that shirt off so I can look at those ribs. I started to take off my shirt when there was a deafening explosion which made my ears ring like the Moscow church bells on Pacha one night. The next thing we knew, the crocodile juked around like a bat out of hell. Because she wasn't restrained, Elena slammed into the wall away from me, which knocked her butt out. That will teach her to not stay in her seat. The pilot juked the other way. She slid back toward me, so I reached out, grabbed her, and held on for dear life, even though I felt like my ribs were ripping a hole into my chest. I smelled something bad, and then Jack swore. Flashback, Jack, in the Hind, 24 headed to Moscow. There was a huge explosion. The helicopter lurched, and my ears rang like a son of a bitch. I figured out we were hit by something. The pilot started acrobatic maneuvers, and thank God Masha was strapped, and otherwise she'd be bouncing around the cabin like Elena. Ben grabbed Elena after she first bounced off the far wall to keep her from getting beat up more than she already was. But even restrained, Masha looked green as hell and stated, Jack, She never finished because she puked. I swore at the pilot. What the hell do you think you're doing up there? You made my fiancé puke. I wasn't so sure the pilot wasn't showing off and giving us an e-ticket ride. I held on to Masha and started to make deals with God. Flashback, Ben, in the Hind, 24 headed to Moscow. Son of a bitch. That wasn't pleasant. Masha puked because of the acrobatics of the crocodile, and some of her puke just hit me in the face. I couldn't do anything about it because I would have to let go of Elena, and there was no way in hell I was going to do that until the acrobatics ended. I couldn't hear shit, but it looked like Jack, the old fart, was praying. I guess Jack didn't know shit about the crocodile because unlike the Hueys, Loaches, or Blackhawks we rode in, the crocodile was basically a flying tank. Oh yeah, they sometimes got taken out with high-end manpads. But because we were still flying, albeit like a drunken bat out of hell, instead of crashing and burning, there was no apparent damage to the crocodile. I was impressed as hell with the pilot. He could fly the shit out of this crocodile. This wasn't an easy feat considering it weighed over 18,000 pounds empty. I couldn't hear it, but I sure could feel the vibrations of the 12.7mm Gatling gun as it fired. I swear I could even feel some rockets being fired. Damn, the gunner was ripping them a new a-hole. It reminded me to check if the Russians had some sort of higher caliber, bigger than 50 caliber, sniper rifle. Since this was Russia, I figured I owed the pilot and gunner a couple bottles of premium Beluga or Imperial vodka because unlike America, gifts of appreciation were freely given and freely exchanged. The flight finally leveled out, and I could only assume we were headed toward Moscow again. My chest felt like it was on fire, and I had some trouble breathing. I knew I was in trouble when I coughed, which hurt even worse, and some blood came out of my mouth. I quickly covered my mouth, but it was too late. Flashback, Masha, in the Hind, 24 headed to Moscow. I was so embarrassed. Because of the big explosion which precipitated the wild flying of the helicopter pilot and my possible pregnancy, I became nauseous and vomited right in front of my wonderful Jack. He became very angry and yelled at the pilot. The wild flying ended. My ears slowly began to work again when Jack pointed at Ben and said, Masha, something is wrong with Ben. He has blood coming out of his mouth. Ben continued covering his mouth with his free hand and yelled, Don't worry about me. I'm fine. However, he was paler than I'd ever seen him. His face showed great pain, and he did have blood on the hand which was over his mouth. I looked at Jack and stated, I should look at him, but I'm not going to get out of this seat and harness until we know the attack is over. Jack yelled to the pilot, Hey, Ben and Elena were injured back here by your crazy flying. Is there any chance you can avoid the acrobatics so my fiancé can check both of them out? The pilot yelled back, I was trying to avoid the RPGs the Chechen scumsuckers were shooting at us. They surprised us with the first one that hit us, but made them miss with the other two. We took all of them out, but I can't promise we won't need to perform evasive maneuvers again. Ben forced a smile and said, Flashback, Ben, in the Hind, 24 headed to Moscow. There was no way in hell I was going to let a possibly pregnant Masha get out of her harness and seat to come check my medical condition, especially since I already knew what was wrong with me. One of my broken ribs punctured a lung. I knew because it felt like I had a searing hot knife in my side, and if I moved, it felt like the imaginary scumsucker holding the imaginary knife twisted it. I smiled at Jack and Masha and said, Masha, there's no way in hell that in your condition you're getting out of that harness, so sit back and enjoy the rest of the ride, because I'm going to be fine. Masha began to argue, but Ben, you probably. After having Masha lecture us earlier, it was my turn to get on my high horse. I interrupted. Masha, shut up, and Jack, don't you dare interrupt me, or I will kick your butt. We all witnessed what happened to Elena, who foolishly got out of her seat. Now you would risk your child by doing the same damn thing? Masha, I already feel bad enough about killing a friendly, but if you got out of your seat and lost the baby because of it, I could never forgive myself. I know exactly what's wrong with me. One of my broken ribs punctured a lung. Masha, with the equipment we have on the crocodile, there's nothing you can do for it. So keep your butt in that seat and keep your harness on. Jack looked at me and questioned, Shit, Ben, I'm the one who broke your ribs when I landed on you, so is there anything that I can do for you? I thought for a moment and answered, Jack, if you can do it fast enough and carefully enough, it would be nice to get Elena back into her seat and harness because holding her hurts like a mother scumsucker. Jack looked at Masha and Masha cautioned, Jack, we don't know the extent of Elena's injuries, so please be gentle with her when you move her. It was touching as hell that the old fart asked her permission to get out of his seat. If I felt better, I would have given him a ration of shit about the old ball and chain. Jack unhooked his harness, slipped over by me, gently picked up Elena, took her to her seat, and strapped her in. He came back by me, leaned down and whispered, Are you really going to be okay? I grabbed his hand and said, We don't have a choice. We don't have the equipment here to treat this, so the faster we get me to a hospital, the better. He gave me a strange look, went back to his seat, strapped himself, and then began to whisper to Masha. I considered complaining, but decided it was wiser to save my energy. Flashback, Glenn, at the military hospital, interview with the J. When I came back into the room, it woke Evelyn up, and she asked, Now where did that nice J go? I knew I needed to keep her in the hospital for the treatment program, so I suggested. He left to talk to Jennifer. How about you and I go grab a cup of coffee in the cafeteria? She gave me a loony drunk smile and slurred, Glenn, that would be so nice. I judged by her condition that she couldn't walk without help, so I went over and offered her my arm. She grabbed my arm, stood up, and I assisted her to the cafeteria. Flashback, Jens, at the military hospital. I just finished assessing my body when there was a knock on the door, and he walked into my room holding a bouquet of roses. He ran his eyes over my body like he was looking at a piece of meat, and as a result, even though I was in a sports bra and yoga pants, I felt like I was naked. I quickly grabbed my scrubs, put them back on, and demanded, What the heck are you doing here? Robert, you do remember he pronounced it Rubert, don't you? Laughed like the imbecile he was and replied, I came by to see how my little prima ballerina is doing. I do have to say, I liked what I saw when I first walked in. I glared at him and snidely replied, What the heck? I'm certainly not your little prima ballerina. He smiled at me, licked his lips, and regrettably informed me, I guess you didn't hear that I got the part of Prince Siegfried. So we will finally, after all these years, be dancing together. But I guess you didn't hear the other news. Shoot, since being in this hospital, I hadn't heard any news, and Rue Frickenbear had piqued my interest. However, I feigned boredom and replied, Oh, I'm sure it's nothing important. He laughed his imbecilic laugh again and informed me, Nothing important? You, my little prima ballerina, don't know what you're talking about. Olga has arranged for the heads of several professional ballet troupes to attend the performance. I almost swore but held my temper. Stop calling me that. Robert grinned at me and teased, What? You don't like it when I call you my little prima ballerina? Well, that's what you are, because I'm going to ride you to the top. The sexual connotation of his comment offended me, and also his added hip motion when he said the word ride. So I reminded him, Have you forgotten what happened the last time we danced together? If you don't remember, he put his hand on my privates and I kicked his rear. He walked over, handed me the flowers, and countered, Well, you were still a little girl then and didn't understand how things work. From what I observed earlier when I first came into the room, you're all grown up now. His comment made me even angrier than when I kicked his rear. I began to get ready to kick his rear again when there was a knock on the door, and before I could say anything, my BFF Megan burst into the room and scared the heck out of me. She took one look at us and the roses and stopped. Her mouth fell open and she blurted, Jens, who's your new boyfriend? I was furious at Megan and yelled, "Megs, he's not my boyfriend." Megan continued with her stupid comments. "Then why did he bring you roses?" Robert smiled at Megan and added to my misery, "I was wishing my little prima ballerina Godspeed on getting well. See, Jennifer, even your friends can see that we belong together." I sputtered, but. The stupid fool looked at his watch and interrupted me. "Sorry, my little prima ballerina, I need to get going. Now that we're dancing together, I need more practice so I can dance as well as you. Get well soon." He tried to kiss me on the cheek, and I luckily dodged his kiss. He walked out of the room, and Megs immediately and annoyingly said, "Yince, you are one lucky girl. He's one of the dreamiest boys I've ever seen." I threw the roses in the trash can, stamped my foot, and angrily yelled, "Megs, he's a pervert. He will never be my boyfriend, and you know that." Megs looked at the door and made an insane comment. "Yince, are you sure that you're thinking straight here? I mean, look at him. Tall, handsome, and very fit." I tried to explain, "Megs, he's a pervert and tries to have sex with anyone he can." Megs shocked me when she licked her lips and blatantly offered, "Hell, he could do me any time and I sure wouldn't complain." I was getting ready to let Megan have it when there was a knock on my door and Katie walked in. She stated, "Jennifer, Robert just introduced himself to me. I think you two will make a great team." She looked at Megan and ordered, "It's time for Jennifer's shot, so you will need to leave the room." Megan smiled at us, came over, kissed me on the cheek, and said, "That's okay, nurse, I need to leave. Hey Yince, catch you tomorrow." I glared at Katie and complained, "Thanks a lot." She gave me a very puzzled look and questioned, "Jennifer, what did I do?" I began to cry. Katie hugged me and asked, "Okay, Jennifer, what's really wrong?" I blubbered. Flashback, Alexei, in the laboratory. I finally escaped my room by threatening one of the guards with a butter knife, of all things, then throwing my tray of food at the others and running between them in the confusion. Once I escaped, I ran down the hallway, around the corner, and ran right into the psychologist. His obese girth refused to be moved and bounced me to the floor. I looked up at him, threatened him with the butter knife, and he laughed. "Alexei, you know you can't hurt me with that." I parroted, "Alexei, you know you can't hurt me with that." When I stabbed him with as great a force as possible, he looked surprised, grabbed his fat stomach, and I eluded his bulk and continued running past him. I looked down at the knife and felt badly since it had blood on it. I must have really injured the psychologist, which meant I needed to escape this place more than ever. Flashback, Safia, Mira, and Ira, in Israel. I was frustrated with the fat man's reluctance to take responsibility. Mira was right. We had no idea what was really happening with these girls, and given the circumstances, her suggestion seemed like the only logical solution. Akam should ensure their well-being through proper care and responsibility. He complained about his current household, saying they had all become indifferent toward him, yet he insisted on keeping them. I simply reminded him of reality and suggested, "Akam, if they are no longer loyal to you, perhaps it's time to let them go and recover your losses." He seemed taken aback by my bluntness and looked at me with surprise before asking, "Including your sister, Naomi?" I couldn't believe he still didn't understand. So I clarified, "Especially her. Akam, whether you like it or not, my sister has been taking advantage of your generosity for her own benefit." Then Mira added, "Safia was totally correct. I had seen the information when I examined Naomi's bookkeeping on the computer, so I added additional information. Akam, do you really know what Naomi is doing with your money?" Akam looked bewildered and answered, "I assumed that she's investing my money like I told her to." I smiled, hugged Safia, because she looked like she needed a hug, and inquired, "So you wanted to invest your money in a drug cartel?" Akam looked stunned and quickly answered, "By all that is right, no. I never told her to invest in a drug cartel. I know better than to get involved with them." I knew he had no idea what she was doing, so I smiled at him and further informed him, "Well, she invested heavily in one of them, and unless Ira and I take care of that problem before we leave, it will probably come back to eat your butt." Thankfully, Safia corrected, "I think you mean bite him in the butt." I thanked her and affirmed, "Thank you, Safia, for the correction. Yes, bite him in the butt." Then I placed further fuel on the conflagration when I continued, "Akam, your harem, and probably Naomi, have been adding something to your food or everyday routine to greatly modify your hormones in a negative manner. They have done something to suppress your male testosterone hormone and increase your female estrogen hormone. Because of this, you have gained weight, and it is also why you feel no sexual arousal." Akam looked amazed and stated, "I don't know what they could be doing. We eat the exact same food, and other than my daily massages, everything else is the same. You can ask Naomi since she is in charge of my food and massages." I thought for several moments and made a decision. "Ira and Safia, please liberate these girls, cleanse them, and introduce them to their new husband, Akam. Even though it is an odious task, I must translocate to the harem horde's room and interrogate Naomi. Akam rose and foolishly insisted, I would like to come and help with the interrogation. I patted him on his grossly obese arm, smiled, and advised him. Akam, my interrogation of Naomi will not be pleasant, and in addition it might well be painful for her. So you are better served by remaining here and acquainting yourself with your new and future wives. My anger was kindled many times over towards the harem horde as I turned and began my translocation, once again, to their quarters. Flashback, Ira and Safia, in Israel. I did not envy my sister Mira, but I felt even worse for the captives, especially Naomi. It had been a long time since I had seen Mira so furious. I was certain her anger had been sparked by the earlier attack she had endured from the captors, but it had grown into a full blaze upon witnessing the mistreatment inflicted on the young girls by the so-called guards. Akam would be lucky if any of his followers survived Myra's interrogation. I suspected it would escalate into something far more severe. Safia, unwisely, asked, Ira, how will we remove their chains? I pulled out my pick lock set and stated, I will pick the lock, and you will take them into the showers and help to cleanse them. As I approached the closest girl, she cowered from me. I reached down, took the chain in my hand, looked at her leg, and my anger was multiplied to a level much greater than Myra's. This young girl's leg would be permanently scarred from the shackle. I controlled my anger, picked the lock, and moved on to the next girl, whose leg was equally scarred. Safia began to take the first girl into the shower and had the audacity to complain, Ira, she's covered in lice, and they are getting on me. I had no patience for her complaints, so ordered, Akam, we need a strong pediculicide and a louse comb. Please translocate to the closest store and purchase these items for us. Akam left, and I ordered Safia, you can begin the shower, but realize that you will also become infected. When Akam returns with the pediculicide, you will need to apply it for the minimum number of minutes recommended while using a towel to keep it out of there and your eyes. Then you will need to use the louse comb on there and your hair for 3 to 4 minutes to remove the rest of the lice and eggs. Safia whined like a little girl. Ira, I cannot do this. I was tired of her infernal braying and ordered, you either do this without further reluctance or stay here as one of Akam's new wives. Flashback, Todd, on the island. When the Chinese attacked the island with helicopters, Liu took out one of the choppers with a well-aimed arrow to its pilot. I took out a couple of the men roping down to the island and then rapidly retreated, thankful that I could see and avoid the many traps she had set. Far behind me, I heard a hell of a noise and determined that the Chinese weren't as lucky and had fallen into one of her traps. I decided to loop back and see what was happening, and as I approached the location of the greatest noise, I was relieved because I found Liu. Somehow she heard me coming and motioned to me to approach more quietly. I came closer as quietly as I could and noticed 2 Chinese soldiers caught in one of her net traps. She hand-signaled me, and I understood what she wanted me to do. I knocked an arrow while she placed an arrow in the ground in front of her, knocked a different arrow, and we both fired at the same time. I took out the Chinese scumsucker trying to cut the net down while she took out the first scumsucker in the net, and just as quickly took out the next scumsucker in the net. Then she motioned to me, and we ran like hell. Present, Mike, at the hotel. While I'm taking a long hot shower, I hear my mobile phone ringing. Shit. Whoever there can wait until I'm done. That damn flashbang got shit in places on me I didn't even know I had. When I catch that scumsucker Ben, he will pay. I know methods of torture he's never even heard of. I finally finish removing all the shit off me, dry off, but still get the towels dirty as hell. I guess I missed some places. Get into my new wheelchair, roll out into the suite, and check my phone. Hot damn. The call was from the Creech Air Force Base commander, and perhaps that drone finally picked up Ben and his cohort's heat signature. I call him back and declare, Commander, I hope you have some good news for me. He answers, we're not sure yet, sir, but our drone did detect 2 unidentified tangos leaving the cabin area, and we tracked them to some trees. Because I've convinced myself that I might have to do everything by myself, I question, Commander, what else have you done about this? He answers, nothing as yet, sir, since your last orders were to find the tangos. I smack my head and ask, so you didn't call the captain yet to inform him of the tangos? He covers his butt, certainly not until I talk to you. So what are your orders, sir? Once again, I contemplate just blowing Ben's butt to hell, but decide the time is not yet right, so I order, Commander, contact the captain immediately and let him know the location of the tangos. Keep surveilling the tangos, and if the tangos attempt to escape, then terminate them. There's a short pause, and the commander clarifies the orders. Sir, I want to make sure I understand your order. We are to continue surveillance on the tangos. Unless they attempt escape, then we are weapons free. I need to remind you, sir, that this is American soil. I choose my words carefully to cover my butt. Commander, that is correct. These two tangos are a viable threat to America. Already tonight they have attacked the camp, destroyed military property, and fired at me. They are enemy combatants and cannot be allowed to escape. Now you have your orders. He replies, yes, sir. Then he hangs up the phone. I call the captain and have to wait because he's on another call. I assume it's the commander. He comes on the line and I question him. Captain, did you hear from the drone commander at Creech? The captain answers, yes, sir, I did, and he notified me that his drone finally picked up our tangos. We have their position and are preparing a squad to intercept them. I think for a moment and advise caution. Captain, do not underestimate these two tangos. I want your squad to go in hot and go in heavy. The captain assures me, don't worry, sir. We're all pissed as hell at them and are ready for some retribution. They won't know what hit them. Present, Stacy and Samantha, hiding out. Yeah, the last place we are going to be is where we are expected to be. Ben taught me this in our time together. Don't become predictable and never let your enemy know where you're going to be, especially where you're going to sleep. Samantha and I slip out of our camp, make it past our guards, who are going to catch some hell about this tomorrow, and head for some trees. Thank God Samantha stops whining about this change in plans. I hadn't realized what a pain in the butt it was when someone whined so much. However, I did realize how incredibly patient Ben was with me, because every time Samantha whines she reminds me of myself when I was with Ben. No wonder he took the hell off and left me. Hell, I drove him away with my whining. We're all settled in for the night. I just begin to drift off to sleep when, talk about whining, Samantha whispers, Stacy, are there bears up here? Her question reminds me of a joke Ben played on me, and I decide it's time to use that bit of Ben's training, so I respond, yeah, but they're the little cute black bears, not the huge man-eating grizzly bears. I anxiously wait, and just like me she asks, you mean sort of like a teddy bear? I work to control my voice because if I laugh now it will give it away. I answer, not really. They are sort of like teddy bears on steroids. They can get as big as 500 pounds with huge teeth and claws. But unless you do one certain thing, you don't really have to worry about them. Samantha stutters, STA? STA. Stacy, what is that one thing? I have her now, so I spring the same trap on her that Ben used on me. Well, Ben said because the bears love sweet things, you should never brush your teeth before going to sleep. He said that he did it once, and woke up with a bear licking his mouth. I can hear the amazement in her voice when she questions, Stacy, are you sure about this? B Bear was Frenching Ben? I fight back the giggles and reply, hey, I'm just repeating what Ben told me. Don't tell me you brushed your teeth before you came out here. Samantha's voice shows extreme concern when she answers, of course I did. I brush my teeth every night. Shoot, what am I supposed to do now? I can't control it anymore and begin to giggle. Then Samantha figures it out and really whines, Stacy, I can't believe you did that to me, and even worse, I can't believe I fell for it. If I ever hope to get some rest, I need to put her mind at ease, so I relent. Samantha, there are a few bears in the Rocky Mountains, but with all the people here and all the explosions tonight, they are long gone. I wonder if my joke backfired when Samantha asks, Stacy, are you really sure about this because you've already lied to me once tonight? I yawn and confirm, yes, Samantha, this is the truth, now go to sleep. I'm almost asleep when I hear Samantha whine. Oh shoot. I yawn and ask, Samantha, what the hell is wrong now? I can't believe it when she says, I do not like this night at all. I really want to be back in my warm and safe tent, away from the bears and all the other animals that come out at night. I'm all settled into my bag, which is very warm, then it happens and I complain. Stacy asks what's wrong and I respond to Stacy's question, I need to make pee. Stacy yawns and answers, well, go make pee. I'm not stopping you, but I'm not coming with you to hold your hand. I grumble as I unzip my bag, slide out into the cold night air, pick up my boots and shake the hell out of them in case a snake or something crawled inside one of them, put my boots on and ask, Stacy, where should I make pee? Stacy grumbles her answer, I don't care, just as long as it's far enough away that I don't have to smell it tonight or step in it tomorrow morning. I remember something else and ask, Stacy, do you have any paper? I can't believe it. Samantha came out here without toilet paper. Then I remember that I did that one time with Ben. The scumsucker made me use leaves to wipe with, but at least he showed me some really soft leaves from what he called a toilet paper plant. After that, Ben told me to keep part of a roll in one of the many pockets on my BDUs. I want to swear, but instead I patiently instruct her, the first time I did this, Ben made me wipe with leaves, so you're lucky I don't make you do the same. Come over here. I have some in the lower right pants pocket on my BDUs. Tomorrow you need to make sure to put about half a roll in your lower right pants pocket because you never know when you're going to need it. Samantha comes beside me and squats close to me. I hand her some TP, then she says, Stacy makes me feel bad for forgetting to bring TP. She gives me some of hers, instead of making me use nasty leaves. So I say, thank you so much, Stacy, and thank you for being so patient with me. Please let me know tomorrow what else I need to carry in my pockets. I move to what I'm sure is far enough away, take down my pants, and then it's like we're in the middle of a battle. Present. Ben, at the cabin in the bunker. I wake up with a hell of a start after having a terrible dream. Buttercup, Jens, was being forced to marry Prince Humperdinck, Mike. I was trying to get to the chapel to stop it, but it didn't look like I was going to make it in time. Wait, where the hell am I? Oh yeah, now I remember. I'm at the cabin in one of my bunkers. I fully remember everything when Destiny expresses her concern. Ben, are you okay? You kept repeating no while you were sleeping. I look at my luminox. Shit, it's close to 10. Hell, I slept about 4 hours, which is good for me, so I finally answer. I'm fine, I just had a bad dream. Destiny surprises me when she apologizes. I'm sorry, that's my fault since I didn't hang the dream catchers this morning before we went to sleep. I derisively snort, like those would have done any good. Destiny laughs her peculiar, but starting to sound familiar, laugh and counters. You will see when I hang them tonight. You will not have a bad dream when we sleep here tonight. I flip on the lights and inform her. Well, we might not be sleeping here tonight anyway. Now it's time to get to work, but first, are you hungry? Destiny unbraids her hair, begins to comb it out, and I think to myself, great, now there will be hair in here everywhere. Destiny glares at me and states, yes, I'm hungry. I'm almost always hungry. And that's not a nice thing to be thinking about me, since it's the wrong time of the year for me to be shedding my hair. I forgot that she somehow hears what I think. I unfortunately laugh and taunt. What are you, some sort of dog? I've never seen Destiny so upset when she complains. Now that's just insulting. You apologize to me immediately. I think for a moment and realize I really stuck my foot in my mouth this time. I did call her a dog. I profusely apologize. Destiny, I'm sorry, and I didn't mean you were a dog. It's just that. Well, damn. Talking about shedding your hair. Listen, just please forgive and forget what I said. Destiny looks at me out of the corner of her eye and says, only if you will forgive me for not hanging the dream catchers this morning. I make sure not to think about anything weird as I say. It's a deal. Now let me start some MREs heating, then I have plan B to work on for the drone, and I need to prepare one other surprise for the greenies. I pull out a couple MREs, begin heating them, open up my pack and remove plan B. I move over to the workbench, take another device from underneath it, and begin hooking things up. Destiny comes over and asks, Ben, what exactly are you doing? And by the way, did you forget about the song you had playing all night? I swear, son of a bitch. Thank you for reminding me. I did forget it. I switch off the transmission of the song, and we begin to listen to the calm chatter. Destiny laughs when the first thing we hear is, damn, I'm glad that song ended. It's been on all night long. Then it continues, if that SOB does that tonight, I'm going to kill him. I'd like to take that song of his and shove it up his butt. Hey, speaking about butt, did you see the pictures of Samantha Stevens, but from the raid last night? I can't believe we caught her with her pants down. I look at Destiny and ask, do you know what the hell they are talking about? She seems to go into one of her trances as I continue to prepare the MREs. She comes out of it and answers, apparently Samantha and Stacy didn't sleep in their tents last night for some reason I don't understand. The drone picked them up, leaving the area. The officers thought it was us, and the greenies mounted an operation against them. I smile at Destiny and proudly answer, I totally understand what Stacy did because I trained her. Stacy must have felt a threat to her safety, so she did exactly what I trained her to do, to make sure your adversary doesn't know where you're sleeping. I finishing doctoring the MREs, hand Destiny her meal and apologize. Sorry, I don't have any breakfast MREs, so this will have to do. She takes a bite of it, smiles and states, this is really good. What is it? I smile and reply, you're lucky you got the lemon pepper tuna. It's one of my favorites. Destiny smiles and offers, then I will trade with you. I shake my head and reply, no, go ahead and enjoy it since mine is really good too. It's the Asian beef strips. Watching her eat her MRE reminds me of how many damn times I'd made MREs for virtually everyone. Jack, Jens, Stacy, and many others who we shared missions with. I finish my MRE and say, well, there ain't no rest for the wicked. It's time to get these things set up and then raise some hell. Destiny interrupts, Ben, I'm still a little hungry. Do you think you could make something called a recon cookie for us? I laugh and ask, sure. Now where in the hell did you hear about recon cookies? She explains, Ivan made them for Jen, Liz, Bernie, and then he pranked someone called Maria by using salt and Tabasco sauce in hers. By the way, Maria hates Ivan. I begin making the recon cookies and smile knowing I had passed on my skills to at least one child. So even though I could never have children, at least a little of my legacy would continue. I silently laugh about Ivan pranking Maria. That kid was a handful. I hand Destiny her recon cookie and say, Abundanza. She smiles and replies, grazie. I gulp down mine and go back to work. Destiny looks over my shoulder and continues with the questions. Ben, what are those devices? I hold up the smaller device, the one I took out of my pack, and answer her. This is Plan B, and if it works as advertised, it will jam the GPS signals which the drone uses. Without the GPS signals, the drone will either crash, be forced to land, or leave the area. If it does work, it will also play hell with the navigation of the helicopters. I hook it up to a couple of wires, find the power lead that's required from my battery bank, and connect it. The lights go through what appears to be a startup sequence, then it settles down to a red light. Destiny continues with the questions, but I don't really mind since it's nice instructing someone again. What are the wires you connected to the GPS jammer? I smile at her and answer, remember the perimeter warning system I told you about? Those are wires that connect to it. Even though it's not perfect, I'm using it as an antenna to transmit things, like the comm channel music last night. This way the greenies won't be able to localize the signal and find this bunker. I cross my fingers, figuratively, and say, well, let's see if this works. I press the button on the front panel, and the red light turns green. I look at Destiny and say, well, this should be working now. Let's see what the comm channel chatter says. We don't hear anything on the comm channel, so I begin to work on the other device I pulled out from under the bench. Before she can ask, I tell Destiny, this is an electronic warfare module I purchased for over $10,000. We're going to use it for spectrum warfare. Destiny looks at it and questions, Ben, what's spectrum warfare? I begin to connect the device and define my terms. Spectrum warfare is seizing control of all the electromagnetic radiation that makes wireless communication possible. Last night's ploy of using the music to jam the comm channels was a stopgap measure. When I turn this on, all communication, even cellular phones, in this area will be stopped. But I want to make sure the GPS jammer is working first, so that's why we're listening to the comm channel. We finally hear what I hoped to hear, chatter from a Chinook coming into land. The pilot complains, I don't know what the hell's going on, but I lost all GPS on this area about a click back. The base responds, we know about the problem. It started a few minutes ago and caused the drone to crash. I look at Destiny and say, now that the drone is gone, we have some work to do. Present, Maria, in the equipment room. After getting my princess boss stabilized again, Liz brings over some clean clothes, some warm water in a pan, and some washcloths. I tell Jens, you're not going to like this, we're going to get you cleaned up. My princess boss of course complains, like I knew she would. Maria, what the hell is wrong with what I'm wearing now? I was ready, so reply. Jens, you smell like a cheap brothel, so even though it's going to be uncomfortable, we need to do this. I look at Bernie and order, you need to find something else to do and somewhere else to do it. He takes off, walks over and occupies Ivan. Thank God. I look at Liz and question. Present, Liz, in the equipment room. Maria asks me nicely, which after the fight we had is surprising. Liz, will you help me clean Jens? Jens further complains, I'm fine the way I am. I reinforce Maria's previous statement. Jens, you are not fine. You really stink, and you need to be cleaned up. So shut the hell up and stop giving us grief. Thank God Bernie is keeping Ivan busy. Maria and Ivan are like oil and water, which I don't understand because he's such a good kid. Yeah, he's smart as hell, which makes him a handful. But that doesn't mean Maria needs to be antagonistic toward him. I begin taking Jens' boots off, and she complains even more. Hey, that hurts like hell. I look at Maria, she looks at me then asks, Jens, what hurts like hell? Jen adds additional information. Present, Jens, in the equipment room. As Liz takes my boots off, I complain. Hey, that hurts like hell. Maria questions, what hurts like hell? I continue my complaining, something cut the hell out of my foot. I look at Maria and she asks, Jens, why didn't you tell us this before? I smile at them and answer, well, until Liz removed my boot, my foot didn't hurt. What the hell is wrong with it anyway? Maria looks sad and says, Jens, you got shot in the foot. That pisses me off and I rant. What the hell? That worthless scumsucker shot me in the foot? How in the hell did he do that, and how bad is it? Maria gives me a concerned look and questions, Jens, what the hell difference does it make? It's just one more injury we need to treat so you can heal. I am pissed as hell as I inform. Well, it might only be one more injury to you. But for me this is much worse than my chest wound. Liz looks at me, smiles, and tries to calm me. Jens, come on. Your chest wound could kill you, and this wound in your foot is really nothing compared to it. It's time I set these bitches straight, so I yell, nothing compared to my chest wound? What the frickin' frackin' hell have you been smoking, because I want some of it? How in the holy frickin' fracking son of a bitching hell am I supposed to dance with Ben with a screwed up foot? Not only that, if this is a permanent injury, I won't be able to run with Ben, and he loves to run. Maria and Liz look dumbfounded at me, and I hear. Present, Jack, in prison at the cabin. The greenies come into the tent, and the same little scumsucker yells, time to wake up, you old farts. I slept like shit last night. I spent most of the night holding Masha close under both our blankets to keep her warm. To initiate our new strategy of passive resistance, I answer, okay, we're waking up, but give us some time because we're old. The soon-to-be-dead shithead answers, yeah, I figured you old would be easier to handle today after a night in the cold. I remember more of our talk from last night and decided to screw with his mind, so I begin to hum the song Ben played. I'm quickly joined by everyone else, and the little Hitler commands, stop humming that damn song. We had to listen to it all night long. With that, the younger guys begin to sing. And I would be lying if I said that it wasn't true. I only want bad things to happen to you. I want bad things to happen to you. I want bad things to happen to you. I want very bad things to happen to you. After the first line, we all join in, and the little Hitler runs out of the tent holding his hands over his ears. We stopped singing the song, which with our voices sounded really terrible. Then the captain walks in and orders, fall out for morning inspection and PT. I question, sir, what about breakfast and morning duties? He glares at us and laughs. I'm not sure I'm going to give you anything for breakfast. And as far as morning duties, Ben blew up the porta potties last night, and I'm not sure they are functional yet. You just might have to piss in your pants. He leaves. The Marines begin to complain, and I nip it in the bud. Listen, Marines, this is psychological warfare. Are we going to let this scumsucker beat us? Masha supports the hell out of me by volunteering. Jack, you know I am pregnant and need to void frequently. However, if you and the other men will shield me, I will void without the use of his portable potties. That fires up the Marines. We march out of the tent singing. And I would be lying if I said that it wasn't true. I only want bad things to happen to you. I want bad things to happen to you. I want bad things to happen to you. I want very bad things to happen to you. I practically laugh my butt off when I see the greenies. I thought I slept badly, but they look like death warmed over. Present, Alex, at the CSH. This has been an incredibly interesting night and morning, and I almost awakened my sister Mira to acquire an extra set of eyes for analysis. First, I note during the night that Samantha and Stacy are led back to camp after what appears to be an attack by the Special Forces. I question as to why they were not safely ensconced in their tents. Next, the annoying drone which had been patrolling the area lost control, went into a dive and crashed. This is most peculiar, and I am not sure if it is pilot error or a failure in the drone itself, or perhaps something which Myra's Ben Blaine has precipitated. Then, one of the Chinook helicopter arrives carrying our adversary Mike. I watch as he is assisted in exiting the helicopter, and note he now has 2 new wheelchairs. However, the most interesting situation is when the Marine prisoners walk out of their prison tent. They are singing that song which Ben Blaine played through the comm channels all night long, and which now seems to infuriate the guards. I smile and understand. My sister Myra's boyfriend is waging a very effective psychological war. I hope to meet him someday and inquire about his tactics. I check on my sister Ira and her newly acquired boyfriend Todd and ascertain they both have strong pulses and steady deep breaths. I awaken Mira. Present, Mira, at the CSH. Alexi awakens me with a kiss on the cheek and vocalizes, Mira, would you please take the next shift? I oculate my watch and complain, Alexi, your shift has been expanded to consume the entire nocturnal period. He smiles and informs me, Mira, there have been many occurrences which have facilitated my wakefulness. However, I feel that drudgery will fill today and would prefer to sleep rather than suffer. I require a complete report, which he presents. Of greatest interest is the demise of the annoying drone. I am sure my Ben did something which forced the crash. Alexi takes the bed and falls soundly to sleep. I check again on my sister Ira and her boyfriend Todd. I am shocked because their medical condition seems to be much improved over when they both became unconscious after drinking the mysterious liquid. I continue to oculate the Marines and realize they are not assisting the Special Forces. I determine they are waging their own conflict using passive-aggressive techniques. Then I oculate something which I do not care for. Present, Stacy, at their compound. I'm embarrassed as hell that we were attacked last night and then forced back to our compound. The only good thing was we weren't injured, other than our pride. I wake up as I hear a chopper arrive and decide it's Ben's nemesis Mike. We need breakfast, and then we need to see the progress on the rescue. No, screw that. We need to see the progress on the rescue first. It's time to wake up Samantha and get our butts moving. Present, Zarika and Yasmin escape. The storekeeper gives us excellent directions, then compliments Yasmin. Girl, you should really consider a career in rapping. Hell, you're better than most that I've heard. Yasmin informs him, sorry sir, but I am betrothed to the most wonderful man in the world, and we need to return to his cabin in Leadville. The storekeeper hands her a card and says, well, if you ever decide differently, I would love to help you make a demo tape. I ask the man, what exactly is a demo tape? He laughs and explains, damn, where are you girls from? A demo tape is what you send to major record companies. If they like it, then they sign you to a contract. And from what I heard and saw, your girl has all the moves to make him big. Yasmin excitedly says, "Thank you very much, sir, but we need to get going." We walk out to the stupid boxy car. The Nubian males are still there. They exit their car and ask, "So do you two need any help?" I smile at them and answer, "No thank you. We have the directions we need and are leaving immediately." Yasmin and I get into the stupid boxy car. I begin to move it out of the parking lot, and luckily again, I do not hit anything. We head north on Quebec Avenue like the directions the man gave us tell us, and I ask Yasmin, "Please watch for the exit to Interstate 70. We don't go very far when Yasmin says, "Zarika, there's the exit you want." Unfortunately, I am in the wrong lane again, so I quickly move across the other 2 lanes. Many cars honk their horns at me, and we take the Interstate 70 exit. However, once we are on Interstate 70, I have a new and unexpected problem to deal with. Present, Tom, Inga, and Byron. It's raining hell on the drug lord. I can't believe I have to dive into this cesspool. You can't really call it water, but I have to suffer this stuff to save Inga. Son of a bitch. I'd like to think I wouldn't have done this if she hadn't saved my butt from that landmine, but truth be told, and I sure as hell don't plan on telling anyone, I've enjoyed having her fight with me. Shit, she's as capable as most men and sure as hell doesn't give me the macho bullshit that most of them give me. I strip off all my gear except my pistol, so I don't sink to the bottom like an anchor, and dive in where I last saw her. I search like crazy for her, but can't find her. Then I see something and swim toward it. Dear listeners, please share your thoughts in the comments section below, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe.